Well, for posterity's sake, I thought I would go over my first full day as a free man out on the road. I left the Seattle area Friday evening after my final day of work, and I headed south. Now, my original idea was that I was going to avoid major cities, meaning I didn't even want to drive through any major cities. But because of the weather, I decided just to stay on Interstate 5, and that was just because the weather was really bad. It was very, very rainy at times and very, very windy most of the way, and so it just felt like a better idea to stay on a major freeway. So that took me down through Portland, and that ended up not being a bad thing because since I got a kind of late start on my trip Friday evening, that put me through Portland later in the evening, and that meant that not only did I not have any traffic, but by the time I got to Portland, most of the rain and most of the wind had cleared up, so I just sailed right on through Portland. So it was a nice easy trip through Portland. There was just kind of the little regular Portland mist in the air and very, very little traffic. So my first full day as a free man started out just south of Portland. I decided to stay at a rest area called French Prairie rest stop, and it was a really nice rest stop. One of the biggest rest stops I've ever seen. There were lots of people there, but there were 3 different sections to that rest area, and so we kind of all spread out. Even though there were a lot of people, it just didn't really seem crowded at all. Pretty wet, but you know, great thing about Oregon, pretty good gas prices. Well, I'm not exactly making good time here today. I am just south of Salem, and I guess that's not really a problem, but I all of a sudden realized that not being on a schedule, I've forgotten to stop and make lunch. So it's now time to stop and make lunch. Part of the reason why I am not moving very quickly, if you look at a map from Seattle to Salem, is not very far, but I had to stop and get a little adapter for my iPad, and it took 3 stores. I figured I'd buy it while I was in Oregon because it would be a little cheaper. Yeah, it took 3 stores to find this little $9 adapter that I now need. I need this because I've been a little lazy on my audio. Not that this audio is good. I'm at a rest stop right next to the highway, so I'm sure it's going to be loud and noisy. And there's rain going. You can see I had to put my rain jacket on because when I went over and used the hose bib to fill up my water, since there was a hose bib available here at this rest stop, I didn't want to get soaking wet. So anyway, so the audio I'm sure is not terribly good right now, but I've been trying to do a better job of audio lately. And a channel that I really like and follow called Blind Views. I don't know if you're familiar with that channel, but he did a series of videos on audio, and he has a background in audio, and so it was kind of interesting to get his take on it. I'll put a link to that down below in the description of this video. If you make videos and you have any questions about audio, or have been like me and have been lazy about your audio, I think you'd find some good tips from it. He doesn't give you just his opinion. He gives you kind of a well-rounded approach to how you might want to handle your audio. So in order for me to up my audio, I needed this little connector. So anyway, hopefully that'll improve my audio, which has been horribly bad the last several months. Anyway, so enough about audio. Now, lunch. I need to eat lunch. 2 o'clock now. I need to eat lunch. So lunch is simple, green chili burrito with some of this really great hot sauce. And I should probably make some road coffee, shouldn't I? I'm going to want road coffee. Yes, road coffee is done, so I can now be on my way. Maybe I shouldn't admit this, but this is my 4th cup of the day. But it is 2 o'clock. I mean, it's after 2 o'clock, so I don't think that's excessive. Well, thankfully, the whole trip wasn't rainy and windy. There were a few spots along the way that the rain and wind subsided, and I was able to just stop and admire the scenery. Unfortunately, when it was really rainy, I couldn't see much, so I didn't make very many stops. I had planned on stopping at least 1 or 2 different state parks that I was going to be going by, but that didn't seem like a great idea, so I just kept going. And I made it down to Coos Bay before I decided to call it quits for the day. And Coos Bay is very close to the ocean. When I woke up in the morning, there was almost a little bit of sun out, and I could feel and smell the ocean. So I decided to get down to Bandon Beach, and that's where I had my morning coffee. And that area was absolutely stunning and worth every bit of the drive to get there. So I'd like to take a moment and just say thank you to everybody that's been following along. It's nice to know that there are so many other like-minded people out there that can appreciate what I'm doing. So thank you very much. I got a little overwhelmed with all the comments that you left on my last video. I have read every single one of them, but it was just a little hard to reply to every single one of them. But each and every one of them means a lot to me. So thank you very much for that. One thing that I needed to tell you, though, is that from this video going forward, there will be a little bit of a delay of my posting. So meaning that if you see me in a particular spot, that means I've already actually moved on. So this video, I'm not in Oregon anymore. I'll have been moved on into California. So just something to keep in mind. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for following along. Thank you to all of you who subscribe and leave comments. I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it.